Hello everyone at 2B. I just wanted to make this video quickly because I feel like I can verbally explain my current thought process for Bitcoin and Ethereum better than I can if I were to type it all out. So, as you can see here, I posted a swing trade Ethereum entry that has not been filled yet. I'm really concerned that it will not be filled, but regardless, I posted that. We'll see what happens there. And I also posted that I canceled my Bitcoin bids that were in the 5,300 area. Okay, so now let's get on to the analysis and why I am slightly concerned for Bitcoin and Ethereum and why I believe that there is a good chance that the top is in and there's going to be some sort of rug pull sometime soon. Ignore this stuff. This doesn't really matter. I was just messing around with different charts and arguments. But, okay. So first, I want to start off by saying a few things. I have a lot of thoughts that I want to get across. I'm going to be thinking about all of them at the same exact time because that's how my mind works, unfortunately. So I'm going to try my best to not rush through everything and explain everything to the best of my ability so everyone can understand my thought process. So first, let's start with Bitcoin here. If we go to the 12-hour, we can just see this price action a bit better. But, you know, from the beginning of April, it's pretty clear that this has been a pretty easy long. Obviously, I was not long. It is what it is, but it's been a pretty easy long. There really hasn't been any significant stop hunt. You can see equal lows there. There hasn't been a stop hunt here, here. So it's been a pretty easy ride for the bulls on the way up, which is fine. You know, it's not normal. I mean, it's normal, but it's not common to have such an easy ride or take this such an easy route for a trade. But regardless, clear uptrend, right? So notice this formation here. All this is just stair-stepping directly into resistance. Eventually you get a pop. I should circle that right there. Eventually you get a pop right here, tap resistance, and that's what happened the other day, 2 days ago. We broke out from this resistance area here. Okay, so we got our breakout. We got the stair-stepping directly into resistance. This is very, very clearly bullish, right? There's absolutely no denying that this was bullish. So what we know from trading Bitcoin and Ethereum and watching the books at all times, you know, understanding the price action of both of those coins, we know that Bitcoin or Ethereum typically lead each other's price action. I think I explained that actually terribly. How do I usually say it again? Typically, one leads the other in terms of price action. I think that's what I usually say. So with knowing that, let's switch over to the 12-hour Ethereum chart. Okay, let me delete this, and I'll delete this. Okay, so the 22nd, I think, was the day it popped. Okay, here we go. So here are the highs. All right, these highs, I would say, are the same as these highs, this high for Bitcoin right here. This was on the 10th of April. This was on the 10th of April as well, okay? So this was the high that Bitcoin broke. As you can see, Ethereum didn't even come close to breaking that high. It was actually 5% away. Okay, so I'm not necessarily saying that Ethereum should have gone the exact same distance that Bitcoin did, but because we know that one typically leads the other in terms of price action, it should have at least made an attempt at that high. Okay, so it should have at least attempted to tap that high in any way. But instead, we got an extremely weak uptrend for the entire month of April. Starting here, right? I think this is the same area I highlighted for Bitcoin. So somewhere in here, right? So it basically just went straight up. Nothing wrong with that. But then on the breakout day, it didn't do anything. It got rejected at this major resistance right here, which is very, very, very concerning for Bitcoin and obviously Ethereum, but for Bitcoin specifically. So you can come up with different arguments as to why you think Bitcoin popped a lot more than Ethereum did. You can say it's FOMO, whatever you want to say, but the facts are that Ethereum didn't make it up nearly as high as Bitcoin did, which could be very, very telling for Bitcoin. Because now let's say what would happen if Ethereum now sold off to the nearest strong high time frame support. Where would that be? If we break it down to the 1-day chart, we can see this support a bit better. Pretty sure it's, where is it? Was it, maybe it's a 3-day? 147. Okay. So 147, I believe, is notable because our breakout point from this uptrend here, this is our breakout point, distribution, sell-off. Uptrend, breakout point, again at 147, distribution, sell-off. So in my mind, what's going to happen is we're going to sell off into this high time frame support, possibly bounce, and then whatever happens after that happens. But this area, in my opinion, is important. If there's no reaction there, we may get some sort of bounce. Maybe here or so, 141, because that's the breakout point of the uptrend right here. Okay, so somewhere around 141. But regardless, we have 147. So where was I going with that? Okay, right. So if Ethereum is now leading price action, and if Ethereum is going to sell off, where is the next area of high time frame support? That would be about 10% away. Okay, so would that affect Bitcoin? Yes or no? And in my opinion, today's price action was extremely, extremely important that I am almost positive a lot of people overlooked. So if we break it down to the daily, we can see another area of support that has been absolutely crucial in this range here. It's been either support and or resistance for this entire range. Okay, so let's mark that out here, and I believe that area was right here. Wait, it's easier to see on the 12-hour. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm getting the right area. Right here. Okay, 167. Perfect. Boom. So you can see resistance, rejection, breakout, support, broke below, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, flip. You get it. So this has been extremely, extremely important in this range. Okay, so if we go to the daily candle today, we can see that the daily candle closed below there. Sure, there's a long lower wick, but long lower and upper wicks without the proper follow through is neither bullish nor bearish. Okay, so it closed below that extremely, extremely important support and resistance flip. And now, to further confirm my argument, we can go down to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, so now we have the, I guess we could say, basis for my argument that Ethereum is actually giving us a sneak peek of the Bitcoin price action and the sneak peek for the impending dump that's going to happen. But Bitcoin, for whatever reason, just continued to go a bit higher while Ethereum just continued to dump. So now why I think Ethereum is now leading price action is because of right here. So it's really, really subtle. I haven't done this before I turn the recorder on, so I'm not entirely sure if this is even accurate. But what I noticed today at around 6:10 was Ethereum started to get some massive sells right here. Massive sells. I remember this time today. So around 6:10, they got some massive, massive sells. So if I put a vertical line at 6:10, I'm just curious to see vertical line at 6:10 here. Vertical line at 610. Okay. You know what I can do actually? Let me do this for Ethereum. Okay. Maybe this will be better. Perfect. Okay. So this is very subtle. I'm not sure, if I'm just cherry picking a specific scenario, but this is something I typically see very often for Bitcoin or Ethereum. What you see is a large, basically just a dump, a straight down dump. And then you see Bitcoin or Ethereum. In this case, it's obviously Ethereum that led the dump. You see Ethereum here. Okay, large sells start coming in here. Large sells here. As you can see, Bitcoin started to sell off a bit, but really not as much as Ethereum, right? We had some large sells here, and then we have just a complete dump. It's not even curved. There's absolutely no buying. I mean, obviously there's buying, but the buys are just getting completely steamrolled right here. So what's different about here is it's essentially straight down. When with Bitcoin, you have a longer, more drawn out dump, a slope, a curve, and then this, and then the sell off here. Okay? Right there. See what I'm talking about? So again, it's very subtle. I may be cherry picking. I may have made this up in my head, but I see this often, so I'm going to stick with it. Okay, you have Ethereum that led the dump here. So you don't have that nice curve at all, which shows that there's still people buying here, and it's not just a straight dump. This shows that there's people buying. This shows the, basically straight down shows that there's not many people buying, and they're just getting steamrolled. Okay, so again, I'll just trace it again. You can see the difference. All right, maybe this is just in my head, but that's what I noticed today, and that's why I am concerned for Bitcoin. You can also argue that, okay, so if Ethereum, or if Bitcoin and Ethereum, typically one leads the other in terms of price action, is Ethereum just lagging behind massively? And in my opinion, no, because we haven't seen Ethereum really lag this far behind Bitcoin in a very, very long time. Of course, you can argue back, when it was running up to the all-time high, there was much larger delays, but since the 6K support broke and we dumped massively to 3K or whatever, that's when you saw these really start to lead one another. So in my opinion, not much has changed in terms of one leading the other in terms of price action. And to further confirm my argument, I just want to quickly open up the Ethereum BTC chart, which just looks absolutely dreadful. Let's switch to the monthly chart. And let's switch to Ethereum BTC. So while Bitcoin and Ethereum USD are having tons of fun pumping, breaking resistance, not breaking, smashing resistance, Ethereum BTC really isn't moving that much. Ethereum BTC also is testing and breaking monthly support right now as well. Look at that. We can also put another line here if you really want. Another line here at these lows. So it's testing monthly support right now. If we break this down a bit, we can see it a little bit better. Okay. So this definitely doesn't help with any sort of bullish case, in my opinion, for Ethereum. So let me just quickly make sure I went over all of my thoughts. Pretty sure I did. Oh, and lastly, just one quick thing that doesn't have to do with Bitcoin and Ethereum mirroring each other, but just this clear resistance here. I mean, It really doesn't get more obvious than that. Just a simple horizontal. Right, and you can see that the dailies have been unable to close above that. Just a simple horizontal that led to the sell-off. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's everything I want to talk about. Tomorrow I will be making a morning scan. My voice is feeling much better. I've been extremely under the weather, but I'm feeling a lot better. So I'll just go over my thoughts tomorrow, see what happens overnight. What really I want to see on a low time frame basis, I want to make sure I don't leak anything. Go to the right chart. On a low time frame basis, what I do want to see is something like this. Maybe sweep the highs above the equilibrium, go to 55.30, and then the sell-off happens, which would check out well with my target to short Ethereum at 167. I really don't know how likely that is, but I'll also love to take a short right here. If this daily block breaks as support, I have no problem shorting that as well. So we'll see. I don't want to make this video about intraday stuff, but hopefully you guys understood my arguments. Hopefully it it helped you get into my thought process and why I am thinking the way I am about Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you have any further questions, as always, please feel free to ask. Thank you.